Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Curiosity Stream, your favorite corner of the internet for diving deep into the tech that shapes our world. I'm your host G.I. Wilson, and it's great to have you here with us today. If you're new to the channel, this is where we get curious about technology, breaking down complex topics into something we can all understand and get excited about. We cover everything from the latest gadgets to the underlying code that makes them all work. It's all about feeding that curiosity, one video at a time. So, if that sounds like your kind of thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now, before we jump into today's main event, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who commented on the last video. The discussion was amazing, and you guys brought up some seriously insightful points. That's what this community is all about. For those of you who haven't yet, make sure you also click that little notification bell right next to the subscribe button. Why? Because you won't want to miss what we have coming up. We post new videos every week, and hitting that bell ensures you're the first to know when we drop some fresh tech knowledge. So what's on the agenda for today? We're going to be tackling a term that you might have heard floating around in the world of web development, e-commerce, and digital content. It sounds a little strange, maybe even a bit grisly. I'm talking about headless architecture. I know, it sounds like something out of a spooky story. But trust me, it's one of the most exciting and forward-thinking concepts in tech right now. It's changing how businesses build their websites, how developers create applications, and ultimately, how we experience the digital world. It's a pretty big deal. We're going to do a full deep dive, a faceless deep dive, if you will. We'll break down what headless actually means, why it's not as scary as it sounds, and why so many people are calling it the future of the internet. All right, let's set the stage. Imagine you have a favorite online store. You visit it on your laptop and it looks great. Then you pull it up on your phone and it's perfectly optimized for the smaller screen. Maybe you even use their app on your smart TV or ask your smart speaker to reorder your last purchase. All of these experiences feel seamless, connected, and super fast. But have you ever stopped to wonder how a single company manages to deliver their content, their products, their articles, their images, so perfectly across all of those different devices? It's a massive challenge, and the old way of building websites just wasn't cutting it anymore. Traditionally, a website was a single monolithic thing. The head, which is the front end, the part you see and interact with, like the layout, the colors, the buttons, was permanently attached to the body, which is the back-end system that stores all the content and data. This is what we call a traditional or coupled architecture. It worked fine for a long time, back when the only place you'd see a website was on a desktop computer. But in today's world, where content needs to show up on phones, watches, digital billboards, and even car dashboards, that rigid structure becomes a huge limitation. This is where our topic for today comes in. Headless architecture proposes a radical idea. What if we just cut the head off? Metaphorically, of course. What if we separated the front-end presentation layer from the back-end content repository? Let's get a little more technical, but stick with me. We'll keep it simple. When we talk about the head, we are talking about the presentation layer. It's literally anything and everything the user sees and interacts with. On a website, the head is the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that your browser renders to show you a web page. The answer lies in one of the most important concepts in modern software development, the API, which stands for Application Programming Interface. It's the invisible bridge that connects your content to all the places it needs to go. Think of an API like a waiter at a very efficient, very specialized restaurant. The kitchen, your backend or CMS, is amazing at preparing food, which is your content. This is where a crucial concept called content modeling comes into play. Before you can put any information into your headless CMS, you have to create a blueprint for it. But in a headless world, you want to break that down into smaller, reusable pieces. This communication is standardized, usually using formats like JSON, which is just a clean, organized way to structure data that's easy for applications to understand. Let's get real with some actual scenarios. Imagine you run a big retail business like Shoes Unlimited. You sell sneakers on your website, but also on a mobile app, in-store digital kiosks, and maybe even through a smart mirror in your changing rooms. With old-school architecture, you'd need to build and maintain a separate system for every channel. That means updating the same product info in 5 different places every time you launch new shoes or run a sale. With headless architecture, you flip the script. Shoes. Unlimited stores all its product info, images, prices, and promotions in one central headless CMS. Now let's talk about the media world. Think about a big news outlet. Call it Global News Today. They've got to get breaking stories out fast, onto their website, their mobile app, social media feeds, newsletters, and maybe even voice-activated smart speakers. Alright, you might be thinking, that's cool for big companies, but what about small brands or startups? Here's the twist. Headless is actually a secret weapon for the little guys too. Let's say you run a local coffee shop with big ambitions. With Headless, you don't need them. You pick a headless CMS. Some are free or super affordable. Enter your menu, your story, your latest deals, and you're set. So we've seen how Headless works and where it's being used. It sounds pretty amazing, right? A single source of truth for your content, the ability to publish everywhere, and insane flexibility for your developers. The first and arguably the biggest advantage is that incredible unparalleled flexibility. This freedom directly translates into a much better user experience. Because front-end developers aren't restricted by a clunky, opinionated back-end system, they can use the best, most modern tools to build the user interface. They can use frameworks like React or Vue.js to create lightning-fast, highly interactive websites that feel more like native apps. This means quicker load times, smoother animations, and a more engaging experience for your visitors. Another massive pro is future-proofing. Maybe in 5 years, we'll all be consuming content through augmented reality glasses or some other device we can't even conceive of today. But with Headless, you're already prepared. And let's not forget about security. By separating your front-end presentation layer from your back-end content database, you actually create a more secure system. Okay, so Headless sounds like the perfect solution to everything. But, as with any technology, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The first and most significant drawback of going headless is the increase in complexity, especially up front. You're not just managing one system anymore. You're managing at least 2, a separate back-end for your content and a separate front-end for your presentation. This leads directly to the second con cost. Another potential downside is the loss of some convenient features that you get out of the box with traditional systems. Things like on-page editing and real-time content previews can be tricky to implement in a headless setup. Finally, there's a greater reliance on developers for tasks that marketers or content creators might have been able to handle themselves in a traditional system. This can create a bottleneck if your development resources are limited. The big trade-off. So, with these pros and cons laid out, the big question is it worth it? The answer, as it so often is in tech, is it depends. The decision to go headless is a strategic one, and it involves a fundamental trade-off. You are essentially trading the simplicity and convenience of an all-in-one traditional system for the long-term flexibility, performance, and scalability of a decoupled architecture. So who is the ideal candidate for headless architecture? The primary user group that comes to mind is what I'd call the ambitious innovator. If your roadmap includes delivering content to multiple channels, a website, 1 or more mobile apps, smart devices, digital kiosks, you name it, then Headless should be at the top of your consideration list. Another key indicator is a relentless focus on performance and user experience. Now let's be real. The practical realist is a great candidate. If your primary goal is to get a simple, good-looking website online quickly and without a lot of technical fuss, a traditional system like WordPress, Squarespace, or Wix is often the smarter, more efficient choice. So there you have it. We've taken a deep dive into the world of headless architecture, cutting through the jargon to see what it's all about. We started by understanding the basic idea, decoupling the front-end head, which is what the user sees, from the back-end body, where all the content lives. We used the lemonade stand analogy to see how this separation turns your content into a central factory, ready to deliver its product to any platform imaginable, from a website to a mobile app and beyond. This fundamental shift from a rigid, monolithic structure to a flexible, API-driven approach is what makes Headless such a powerful concept for the modern digital landscape. We explored how this magic happens through APIs, the messengers that allow any front end to request content from the back end. This enables development teams to work in parallel, with front-end developers free to use the best and fastest technologies to create amazing user experiences. We saw real-world examples, from multi-channel retailers keeping their product information in sync everywhere, to media companies pushing breaking news to a dozen platforms simultaneously. Of course, we also looked at the trade-offs. Headless architecture introduces more complexity and often a higher initial cost. It's not the right choice for everyone. A simple blog or a small business website might be better served by a classic all-in-one platform. Ultimately, headless architecture represents a future where content is truly liquid, able to flow wherever it's needed. I hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and given you a clear picture of why so many people are excited about this technology. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the fascinating world of tech. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Until then, stay curious.